I made top cut at the 2024 Pokémon Video Game World Championships with Zacian, Regidrago and Ditto. This is the story of how I did it. Just for some background for those who don't know me, I started playing VGC in 2015, and I got my first big break at the 2016 US National Championships, where I finished in the top 4. I played in Day 2 of Worlds that year, but fell short with a 3-4 record, finishing in 56th place. I took a long break from Pokemon for college and moved across the country to start a PhD. But with the release of Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I decided to return to VGC. My journey with Regidrago began in Regulation D, the format of the 2023 World Championships. I barely missed Worlds that year, in part due to focusing on my PhD, but I decided to enter a big online tournament the week before Worlds with a Regidrago team originally built by Eric Rios. To my surprise, I ended up winning. I believe that to this date, this is the largest VGC tournament that Regidrago has won, although I'd be happy to be proven wrong. The hyper-offensive pace of the team felt natural to me. I liked how Regidrago's Dragon Energy could blow through basically everything that wasn't a Fairy type, although that's what the Steel type Golden Go was for. I was disappointed I couldn't capitalize on my success with the team by competing in Yokohama at Worlds 2023. I would have to wait a year for another shot. Over the 2024 season, I used Regidrago at nearly every event I attended, with only slight iterations to the team. Maybe it was more true in a bygone era of VGC, when formats evolved more slowly, but I stuck with the philosophy that team comfort is most important. My teams had varying levels of success as regulations D, E, and F came and went. I made top 16 at Toronto and Day 2 at San Antonio, but wasn't able to convert either of these into a top cut. However, I did get to show off Regidrago's power on stream a number of times, and I earned a spot at Worlds along the way. You can read more about my journey to obtaining my Worlds invite in a report that I wrote, which I'll link in the description below. Then came Regulation G, which would be the format of the 2024 World Championships and allows players to use one of a number of very powerful restricted Pokemon. I instantly knew that I wanted to try Regidrago with Zacian as the restricted, forming a Steel Fairy Dragon core in only 2 slots. Zacian had been one of the most broken Gen 8 legendaries, but was nerfed in Scarlet and Violet by getting a slight stat reduction and only getting an attack boost on entry once per battle. I felt that, despite the nerfs, it could support Regidrago by outspeeding and KOing Fairy types, serving a similar role to that of Golden Go on the original team. But unlike Golden Go, it wasn't troubled by moves like Wide Guard or Snarl that could simultaneously trouble Regidrago. As a physical single target attacker, it lacks the massive spread damage that other restricteds may offer, but its complementary offense allows Regidrago to take on that role, and so it almost feels like playing double restricteds in a single restricted format. This was the first iteration of the team. Tornadus was added for Tailwind, Chi-Yu to soften up teams a bit and boost Regidrago's damage with Beads of Ruin, Amoonguss to help with Trick Room, and Urshifu because it's Urshifu. I enlisted my good friend Chance Alexander to help me test. We quickly rose to the top of the ladder, and liked 5 of the Pokemon but felt that Urshifu wasn't exactly pulling its weight. We needed something to get a better handle on the omnipotent Calyrex Shadow Rider. After searching through all the options, and I mean all the options, Chance suggested we use Ditto. Ditto could copy Calyrex Shadow Rider, steal its boosts, and with a Choice Scarf, revenge sweep their team. I was initially skeptical that Ditto could be consistently positioned, but Chance theorized that on a frailer team with lots of protects, like ours, you could selectively protect and sacrifice a piece to get Ditto into the correct slot against Calyrex. It worked in testing. Between Zacian, Regidrago, and Ditto, I felt like I was now playing with 3 restricteds in a single restricted format. I liked the team so much that I impulsively bought a ticket to the Indianapolis Regional Championships, partially since Chance lives in Indy and I could see my friend, but I also felt like I had the right team to blow through the undeveloped meta. Chance and I played on alts in the lead up to Indy, one of which was funnily noticed by Tub Takes.
Wait, Whimsical Cot? You're cooking. That's crazy.
Despite our anonymity, we weren't shy about tweeting that we thought we had discovered the call. But when the tournament came, some misplays and missed play roughs, see what I did there? Landed us both at 6-3. At 86th place, I was the highest Zacian in the tournament, which prompted a number of memes. Aaron Traylor did top cut Indy with Ditto, confirming our suspicion that it was good. Chance and I got ourselves some Ditto cards for our phone cases as a consolation prize. Heading into LA Regionals, right on my home turf, Miraidon was all the rage after winning Indy. My friend, regional champion Gio, suggested Terra Ground Terra Blast on Zacian to deal with Terra Electric Miraidon, so I replaced Play Rough. Now I couldn't miss, and I was clicking Terra Ground Terra Blast into things like Raging Bolt and Iron Hands that I would have been clicking Play Rough into anyways. I swapped my Tailwind setter to Whimsicott since it had better typing, and since Shadow Rider usage seemed down, I dropped Ditto for Ogerpon Wellspring to have a better matchup into Kyogre, which could otherwise run through my team. Without the Scarf taken by Ditto, I put it on Chi-Yu to still have a matchup into Shadow Rider. At the tournament, I went 11-3 overall and finished in 11th place. While I was disappointed to bubble out of Top Cut, I was happy to give the team the high finish I knew it was capable of. I also got a win versus Shadow Rider on stream. I haven't mentioned it yet, but this team has an incredibly good matchup against most Calyrex Ice Rider teams. If you don't just win on turn 1 with Regidrago, Amoonguss can spore things under Trick Room, and Zacian can soak up Glacial Lances. At LA, I fortunately played 7 Ice Riders and went 6-1 against it. The one loss was to Ryan Haig in the last round. After LA, the team received a number of features, and it was piloted to additional successes, including top 4 at Malaysia Nationals. It was cool to see the team that Chance and I developed go global. Looking ahead now, I wasn't able to attend NAIC, so all my focus was on Worlds, and I was hesitant to continue using the team. The Terra Fairy Calyrex Shadow Rider teams with Incineroar that dominated LA were especially troublesome for Regidrago and Zacian. I thought that I may have to use a more conventionally powerful restricted if I wanted to go far at Worlds, so I decided to take my time over the summer and explore all my options. I teamed up with my friend Andrew Whitman, who had been a building and prep partner all season. While the two of us often go in different building directions, with Andrew preferring more balanced teams, I highly respect his knowledge of the game and ability to break down formats. We then joined up with 45 Mice and Ally VGC, and the 4 of us bounced ideas off each other all summer. I systematically tested teams with every single viable restricted Pokemon, both to see what I liked, and to gain a deeper understanding of the format. Many teams felt decent, but nothing really stood out to me. I was stuck on an updated version of Henry Rich's NAIC team that I tested with him for a while, but we both ended up scrapping it. So with time ticking down, a few weeks before Worlds I went back to the drawing board and reassessed the state of the meta. Terra Fairy Calyrex Shadow Rider, which could give Regidrago problems, was no longer popular. Most were Terra Normal or Terra Dark instead. And Incineroar, which could intimidate on Zacian, was also on the decline. I decided to wipe the dust off my old team. I had been using Regidrago all season, and I had played thousands of games with the Zacian version. Even if Zacian wasn't the most powerful restricted Pokemon, the team would be powerful in my hands. It was also something that I knew most people wouldn't seriously prep against, so I could force them to play an unfamiliar matchup. Now I just needed to sort out the details. Whenever I sit down to team build, I remind myself of some words of advice that Chance gave me long ago. Don't focus on what your team has, focus on what your team beats. You can waste a lot of time trying to fit everything you could possibly want into 6 slots, especially in a format like Reg G where there are so many different possibilities to cover for. So I decided to focus on simple solutions that could directly answer each archetype one by one. As I mentioned, the Ice Rider matchup was already quite good thanks to the speed sandwich with Regidrago and Amoonguss. Adding Choice Scarf Ditto back to the team with Terra Normal would improve the Shadow Rider matchup. Terra Ground Zacian could still trouble Miraidon teams. Although most were Terra Fairy instead of Terra Electric now, that meant I could also KO them with Behemoth Blade. Sunny Day on Whimsicott could help shut down Kyogre, and making Regidrago faster allowed me to outspeed most Kyogre on turn 1. Fast Regidrago could also help in the Terapagos matchup, softening them up for a potential Sacred Sword from Zacian. Finally, Ditto helps into Zamazenta and opposing Zacian, since not only do you copy their entry boost, you gain an additional boost upon transforming. Sash Chi-Yu could also survive a hit from one of the dogs and return for a knockout. The main weakness was Koraidon, since I didn't have Play Rough on Zacian. Koraidon could do huge damage to Zacian, and its typical partner Fluttermane would be a problem for Regidrago. I decided that I would accept that this would be a weaker matchup since it was more of a niche pick than the other restricteds. With just a few weeks left, Andrew worked hard to prepare a meta document with dozens of popular teams, and we played many practice games against each other with them. I also did some laddering on both Cart and Showdown, and felt pretty good. I shared the team with Liam Critcher and Joe Russell, who had gotten top 16 at EUIC with Regidrago. They helped me adjust some spreads and figure out some last-minute lines. With the team ready, I flew to Honolulu the Tuesday before Worlds. I had a couple days to explore Hawaii with my mom, as we had decided to make it a small family trip. I also met up with Andrew, and we readied ourselves for the tournament. I had made flashcards to memorize important damage calculations, and I gave them one last look over on Thursday night. On Friday, it was showtime. In day 1, I played a string of well-known players right out of the gate and started 6-0 to immediately punch my ticket into day 2. I wanted to win at least one of my last 2 rounds. As records would carry over, I could have some wiggle room during day 2, and it would be a shame to not capitalize on the 6-0 start. I dropped round 7 to Carlos, who was running my worst matchup in Koraidon, but also played his own Ditto very well. In round 8, I played Alberto, who was running a tricky Shadow Rider team. With some close calls and good Ditto positioning, I was able to win the set in 3 games. That meant I was 7-1 going into day 2, so I would need to win 2 out of 3 rounds the next day to top cut. In day 2, I immediately paired into the 2023 World Champion Shohei Kimura. Our set was featured on the side stream. Fortunately, DeWabblefoot recorded the match, which I'll link in the description. This was an incredible 3-game set that Shohei played masterfully. In game 1, I was able to blow through his team. Game 2 came down to a damage roll on my Ditto transformed as Calyrex that went in Shohei's favor. In game 3, I immediately started ripping through Shohei's team under Tailwind, but a suboptimal play by me to not go for early chip damage left his Terra Dart Calyrex with just enough HP to survive +3 Ditto's Astral Barrage, giving Shohei the set. Taking an instant loss in day 2 meant I would have to win the next 2 rounds to make top cut. I then played Eric Bartlett and Jack Lloyd. My opponents played very well. In both sets I lost the first game, but with good adjustments, some good Ditto play, and a little good fortune from Chi Yu, I was able to secure the victories and a spot in top cut. I was ecstatic to top cut the most important tournament of the season after narrowly missing a few times at regionals over the course of the year. I'd given Regidrago the big Worlds showing that I wasn't able to do in Yokohama. And, after picking up Pokémon so many years ago, I finally proved I could play well at the Worlds level. Now, I was mere games away from potentially becoming World Champion. I would play Luca Ceribelli of Italy in the first round of cut. The winner would proceed from the top 24 into the top 16. When I saw Luca's team, I knew it would be a tricky matchup. While Zacian can pin the Miraidon, a bulky Hearthlame Ogerpon can redirect its attacks away, or just go on offense. Iron Hands under Trick Room can also be problematic if Luca opted for that mode. The Hearthlame version of Miraidon was a matchup I knew would be somewhat difficult for the team as constructed, so I had prepped significantly into it. It just so happened that Luca was the best pilot of this team, or any team for that matter, in the world, and he played flawlessly, knocking me out of top cut. If I had to lose to anybody, I was glad it was to the eventual, very deserving World Champion. Looking back on the run, 2 of my 3 losses were to the 2023 and 2024 World Champions. I came so close, yet it shows that I still have a ways to go to reach that level. For now, I'm satisfied to be 21st in the world, especially having used one of the most unique teams on the top cut, and my favorite Pokemon that I had used all season. I got some nice merch for the top 32 finish, and I'm grateful to have done it all in the beautiful place that is Hawaii. Thanks to everyone I mentioned in this video who made this run possible, and an additional shout out to Aaron Trailer for support throughout Worlds weekend. There are so many others that I haven't mentioned who have given me some form of help or encouragement throughout the year, which I really appreciate. I want to thank the Pokemon staff for making these events possible, and I finally want to thank everyone in the SoCal community for welcoming me into the scene after I moved to LA. Since 7 SoCal players made Day 2 of Worlds this year, Pokemon decided to reward us by holding the next Worlds in Anaheim. I'm more determined than ever to take it all right in my backyard in 2025. But for now, happy Year of the Dragon.